Hi, Mike Gibson coming to you live from SCAI 2015, and I'm joined by Lisa Olson, the new SCAI Executive Director, and Jim Blankenship. Welcome, Jim. Jim is our new 2015 to 2016 incoming president. Well, Lisa, let me start with you. One of the highlights of your entrance into SCAI is the formulation of a strategic plan for SCAI. Where are we in that process, and what is the process?
So it's basically about a 9-month process that we started in February, and the first part of this was really looking at our stakeholders. So we surveyed members, non-members, both our U.S. and our international members. We surveyed industry, other societies, and we really asked for the external...
So you're in the information gathering phase of the process.
So that was early on, and so now we've processed that information and we're starting to formulate what the vision, mission, and values are. But
the mission isn't going to change from education and quality and advocacy, right?
Right. The three words you hear over and over again, and what is SCAI good at? It's education, quality, and advocacy. So that's not going to change. There may be some other things that we'll want to do as SCAI grows and blossoms as a professional medical society, and one of those we've talked about is maybe more involvement in research.
And by research, do you mean SCAI kind of initiated research where there would be a SCAI registry or something like that, or just allowing everyone to do their own research?
I think it's a role of fostering research.
Fostering research broadly.
And also maybe setting the research agenda. You know, who better than SCAI in interventional cardiology, the home of interventional cardiology, to set a research agenda that we would promote and hopefully be able at some point to provide seed grants to help researchers. It's not defined yet, but I think it's a very appropriate role for SCAI.
And another aspect is to provide opportunities for our younger members to get involved with research when they might not have a natural mentor. For instance, we could provide mentors within SCAI to help them get started on research, and also to provide networking amongst our members to increase the number of persons that are available for, say, multi-center trials.
That's a great point, Jim. I mean, there was an article published today in Nature that showed the funding for young people is going like this, and the funding for older people is actually increasing. So, you know, success begets success, and old people are very successful, or the ones who are successful are getting funded, and we're not doing enough to really foster that early career development, which can be so challenging. Right.
And SCAI sees as one of its major functions to provide mentoring for younger members, and it's inspiring to see all of the older members who've been around for a decade or two who are really interested in helping out our younger members get started. And we have several initiatives, as you know, within SCAI that are specifically designed to help develop leadership skills, research skills, and clinical skills, especially in our younger members.
Well, I think you go to other meetings and there's a big focus on research and mentoring about research, but you know, there's not a boot camp to tell you how do you run and lead a cath lab. I think that's one of the unique features of the SCAI program. Mentorship, not just in research, but in real world practice as well, I think.
Let me add one comment in terms of the strategic plan. Another part of what we did to get prepared for going through the plan was to look at what the last plan was. It turns out the last plan was in 2005, but the really encouraging part was that when we looked at what the visionaries of 2005 put together, and we credit a group of luminaries in interventional cardiology led by Barry Uretsky. When we looked at what they set out to do in 2005, they accomplished pretty much everything. There are a couple of areas that we didn't quite hit the bullseye on, but pretty much everything that we set out to do in 2005 we got done, which makes me very encouraged as we set out new goals.
Sure.
Because it's past success predicts future success, and I suspect that the goals that we set out in these next few months we're going to accomplish, and it'll take a few years, but I think we're going to get them done.
Well, I don't know a group of more driven, goal-oriented people than interventional cardiologists, so I'm sure. So, Jim, you know, your reign begins soon. What's your vision for 2015 to 2016? What are some of the challenges that you face as incoming SCAI president?
Well, one of the things that we are going to start working on immediately is how to provide value to our new cardiovascular professional members. That is, the people who work in cardiac cath labs and who manage cardiac cath labs. There's, I think, an enormous interest on the part of these professionals to learn, to get educational opportunities, and to contribute to the society. And at the top of our agenda is finding ways to get them involved in the society and contributing to the society. And for instance, we're starting a committee that is specifically designed to help bring the cardiovascular professionals into the society and to generate ideas and programs to keep them involved. We may end up putting cardiovascular professionals on many of the existing committees so that their voice will be heard throughout the entire organization. So making them part of our family and enhancing their professional careers, I think, will be one of the biggest challenges that we are going to be working on right away.
Well, if we want to improve care, we have to improve the system of care, not just as operators, and of course integrating in those. You've integrated a few hundred of these people so far into SCAI, and I think that you're right. To really elevate the playing field, we've got to get the whole team involved, right?
And the idea of team is critically important here. The society to date is largely focused on the cath lab operators, the interventional cardiologists, but in fact, it's become very clear to me through my career that there are many cases when the success or the failure of a procedure depends on having good help with you.
Absolutely.
And it's the cardiac cath tech who sees a dissection that maybe I didn't catch, or knows a technique that I forgot about, and can bring it up at the right time that can make all the difference in the world in a procedure. And so creating teams and getting the idea of teamwork, both on the part of our interventionists and on the part of the rest of the cath lab professionals, I think is critical. So learning how to work as teams, say doing team training, for instance, and setting up programs where teams can learn how to work with each other would be something that we need to work on in the future.
Absolutely.
And you know, we started this with talking about the strategic plan, so this is perfect timing for us to really understand what it means for SCAI to be really team-oriented and bring these professionals into the organization and really hear what they need and what their desires are. So it all fits. You know, we in strategic planning, you have the ability to write your own future, and so that's what we need to do, and do it with this team-based approach.
I agree.
Another point that we think is very important is to really be the home for interventional cardiologists. Now, if you go back to 2005, there was attention at that point to bringing in our structural disease colleagues and congenital heart disease interventionists and pediatric interventionists, and to a large extent that has happened over the past 10 years, but we want to even take that further and continue to provide opportunities for the pediatric interventionists and congenital heart disease specialists to participate and contribute. And similar to that too, even back to 2005, there was an emphasis on global participation, but we want to increase that too. We see an enormous interest and hunger for educational opportunities from our international members, and so providing services, particularly in education, and I think increasingly quality for international members will be a critical focus for us in these next few years.
Complex to advocate for people in other countries, though, right? For the advocacy side, so a challenge.
Well, you know, we need to define what that is, but there's we've had some discussions about that already. 27% of our members are outside the U.S.
I had no idea it was that big. That's amazing.
So we really need to be focused on them, and so we started those conversations about what does advocacy mean in, it's country specific, it's regional specific, but there is a role for SCAI to provide advocacy support for our international members.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm sure there are a few common themes.
And we have very engaged and very thoughtful international leaders that are just willing and ready to take the reins of a new effort. So they're hungry for it, and we need to make those opportunities happen.
Well, I can see that SCAI is in good hands with you, Lisa. Welcome as the new
thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
director.
This is such an honor for me.
And we're thrilled to have you. And Jim, I know you're going to be great in this upcoming year as president. So
thank you.
Look forward to it.
Let me add that we really have a sense of renewed energy and enthusiasm with Lisa joining us. She has been great in these past few months. We think she's done about 10 years of work in the last 6 months. And so,
don't break her. Don't burn her out.
So the entire society is energized, and then this idea of developing a new strategic plan is giving us a new focus and giving us renewed energy to go out and continue to be the home and the voice of interventional cardiologists.
That's great. Congratulations, you two.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to have both of you on board.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for joining us here today live from SCAI 2015.